All right, friends, we are live. Woo! I am trying a new interface and modality, and here we go. So I apologize. We're now 13 minutes late for our scheduled live, and I'm a big manage the minutes kind of gal, so I apologize. I'm so excited this week. Jen Gottlieb, I've been just crushing on her actions, right? I used to suffer from when I would see someone stepping into faith, doing what they love, what they're bringing their uniqueness and their perspective onto the stage or onto the social media scene or wherever you're looking and watching. And I used to think, man, they're doing it better than me. And now I have worked so hard over the past few months on downgrading my default mode network, allowing my ego to not be in the driver's seat. The ego is the place that says, am I good enough? Am I rising to the top? Am I winning? Am I number one? All the things. And I do, as a fairly competitive person and as a former athlete, I do love to compete and I do love to win. And when I feel like I'm not positioned to win, there's this weird thing that happens inside where I start to experience even greater self doubt. The inner critic becomes louder. And I'm so happy to have done some intentional work rewiring my brain to downgrade that default mode network and allow the other parts of my brain to communicate more effectively. I learned those tools thanks to cancer. I was so afraid of cancer coming back. I had the most aggressive tumor type. And on a growth scale of 0 to 20 plus, my Ki67 protein was a 51. So I knew that I didn't want to go full throttle with a full mastectomy if I didn't have to. I knew enough about biobehavioral choices thanks to Chris Carr and her book, Crazy Sexy Diet. Chris, I hope this somehow lands in your desk because I would genuinely love to say your courage. Oh, that's going to choke me up. Your courage sharing your story and seeing that picture of you in the hospital bed in that book. I know as a glamorous, beautiful woman, that was probably really difficult to put that picture in a book. But when I saw that you had such a debilitating disease and that you had not only lived through it, but lived to write about it and share your knowledge with others, I knew I could do the same thing. And that's why it's so important for us to share our stories, my friends. It's not easy. I don't find it easy to sit online and share with you. My armpits sweat every time. Literally, let me just angle this a little better. I literally have to wear like very lightweight shirts when I do this because my armpits just get so sweaty. I get so nervous. And I think that that's important though. It's important to stand in that authenticity and say, yeah, it's a little uncomfortable, but you know what? My discomfort is worth it because there is someone who needs to hear this. And that little calling that you feel sometimes inside of your heart, that is, I learned this from Rory Vaden, and I'm so grateful for this lesson. That's someone else in this world just saying, hey, I need you. And you don't get to know who that someone else is. But if you hear that calling, I want you to follow it. Learn to follow that. That's your divine guide. The spirit gave you intuition inside of you. And so I want to shout out to Chris Carr and just say from the bottom of my heart, thank you. I would have had full mastectomy, months of radiation, 3 to 4 months, weeks of chemo. I'd be bald right now. But instead, thanks to Chris Carr, I went down a rabbit hole of research. I found a whole biobehavioral team, and my oncotype, which determines whether I would need to go that route or not, came back so incredibly low that I was able to starve those cells so that they didn't expand beyond the margins and get into my lymphatic system. So when we did a lumpectomy and we pulled 6 lymph nodes out from under my armpit, we were able to determine that we didn't have to go that path. And then the best news came when the oncotype results came back after they studied my tumor, and they said, I don't know what happened. You don't need chemo. I know what happened. I prayed to God every single day. I listened to alpha waves. I grew my meditation practice. I sat on that Peloton bike every single day, whether I wanted to or not, for at least 5 minutes. 5 minutes, and move your body. And so it was very empowering for me. What I realized though is I was becoming a control freak. I was so afraid of cancer coming back 90 to 95% of cancers, for those of you who don't know, are diet and lifestyle related. And early in the journey after my diagnosis, I had to wait for my genetic test results. Cancer is a one step at a time game. You don't get to know the whole runway. So it taught me to be present in this moment. I don't have to know how my business is going to turn out to know that right here, right now, this brings me joy and it is what I am determined and feel so called to do. And you don't get to know in cancer how things turn out or what's going to happen. And that was a really great lesson for me to learn. And inside of whatever challenge you're facing right now, I want you to find that great lesson because it will be freedom for your soul. You're not going through this for no reason at all. And it's your job and your responsibility to find that reason. For me, it was a big wake-up call to say, this has been a dream of mine that I've been playing on the sidelines with for 7 years. And now I get to do it full time. It's time. And then I look at the profit potential and the research and see, like, is this actually a good thing for me to be doing? Or should I go back to maybe corporate, maybe government and politics, maybe education? And as I analyze industries, I found that over 4 million people were leaving their jobs every month this year in the United States. That's a lot of people voting with their feet saying, I want something different. And if you feel like I want to do something different and you know you have some knowledge and skills, something you've built that makes you unique, and you go, I just don't know how to get it out into the world. I've studied the industries, the opportunities for you to look at what's best and how do you discover your uniqueness? How do you find the strengths within you when we live in a mediocre world that tells us to embrace a mediocre mindset? It keeps us playing small. And I'm here to help you play big. And you'll play bigger and more courageously and more confidently when you can stand in your uniqueness. And I know how to position you to get there. So I want to invite you to join my masterclass next week. We're going live Monday through Friday. I'm committing 5 hours of free training to you to help you determine whether this program is right for you. It will not be 5 hours of sales because, to be quite honest with you, I don't know how to sell yet. You know what I know how to do? I know how to teach and I know how to facilitate behavior change. So don't feel like you're going to be, if you're watching this, please don't feel like you are going to end up in some big sales thing. You're not. I haven't done my how to train and do all that. I'm learning one step at a time. It's the most frustrating part of the journey is I don't have all the skills that I need to do this yet. But that does not mean you sit on the sidelines dreaming, my friends. It means, as Brene Brown would tell us in Daring Greatly, you get your booty into that arena. So I'm in the arena, I'm playing full out, even though I don't know everything. You know what that is, my friends? That's leadership 101. Leaders have to have their feet in the fire, and they don't know everything they're doing. And that's why I created High Performance Leadership Academy, because the skills that you will need to be successful as you make courageous career change and say, you know what, I want more for my family, I want more for my life, I want more time in my days. I want more flexibility to put the things that matter to me first. I also want to capitalize on these industries that are billions of dollars and quit sitting in the perceived safety of a traditional job. Because let me tell you, I remember when I got laid off 2 days before my cancer diagnosis, my mom said to me, oh, you should have stayed in education. You would have never been laid off if you'd done that. I looked at her, I said, Mom, my severance package is about 4 years of an educator's salary. So I think I'm good. I think in the next 4 years, I might find another job if I wanted to go back into a traditional role. So we tell ourselves these narratives, and our friends and our circles tell us these narratives that we tend to carry. And I'm here to tell you, you don't have to carry those. You need a community that is going to uplift you, because often your family and friends don't understand this. And that's why I've built community as a really big part of my program. Because when we are with others who encourage us, who teach us how to think about things, and when we see them taking bold action, you know what we do? We take bold action too. In one of my communities, I saw this woman who wanted to put a GIF or an animated email header. And she'd asked somebody, and that somebody in the community said, hey, it's actually a GIF. And I started playing around in Canva with email headers and trying to animate them and make them a GIF and figure it out. And I was struggling, and I went to her and I said, hey, have you figured this out yet? I'm like 50-60% there. I might have figured it out, but it's not quite working. I can't figure out exactly how to upload this. And she was like, oh, I haven't worked on it yet, but your progress just inspired me to go back and try it again. And I thought, that's why I do this. That's why we have community. We share and support one another. So that's a really important thing for you to have as you look at what investments am I going to make, right? One of the biggest themes in my book that I'm writing is about all of our lives, we've been asking ourselves the wrong question. We started being asked it when we were little. What do you want to be when you grow up? And then as we grew, what do you want to study? What do you want to do? And we focus on the what, even when we're ready to make courageous career change. What do I want to do? What do I want to do? What do I want to do? What we really need to be focused on, and this I learned through cancer. I wanted to know so badly, what's my next step? What's going to happen? What does this mean? I didn't always get to know the what because you only get one little data point, and that data point it's like a decision tree, right? You go, you've got cancer, yes or no? Okay, yes. Now you go to this test, and then that test has, more paths, and then you get the answer to that test, and then that test has more paths, and you don't get to know what does the end of the road look like. But the beauty is, you don't have to know what the end of the road looks like to know that you are going to fight. When my daughter said to me, what happens to me if you die? I'm all she has. And I knew in that moment who I am going to be matters a lot. I am going to show her what strength looks like. I am going to show her the best fight of my life. And I'm going to live through this. And man, I had this many grams of artificial sugar in the month of December last year. Do you know how hard that is? I feel like because I was able to practice such discipline with what I put into my mouth and into my body, because every decision I filtered through, is this starving cancer or supporting cancer? And sugar is a growth, I don't know what to call it. Sugar grows cancer, multiplies that cancer cell. So I was always in the starve cancer mode. And the strength I got deciding who I was going to be, that I was going to be disciplined, I was going to be a warrior, I was going to fight, and I was going to show the one who matters most to me that nothing in this world takes you down, that you get to choose, you get to be empowered. And so that's why I'm so passionate about helping entrepreneurs, because when you take that courageous step, you know who's watching you? The ones you love the most, the ones you care about the most. As they try to grow, you send them off to school, hoping the school's going to do all that. I don't know, in my experience, school's done more to tear my child down than to lift her up. I'm the one lifting her up at the end of the day. After she's been bullied, after she's been called an F and N-word, after she's been told she should kill herself, after she's been told she's a burden, after she's been told she's stupid, after she's been told her hair's too nappy, all these different things, she comes home to me at the end of the day. And I'm the one who chooses who I'm going to be. I choose who I'm going to be as a mom. I'm going to be present. I'm going to be loving and caring. And there's been times, I'm going to be real honest with you, when I was founding a school, there were times I didn't come home as that person at the end of the day. I was not present. I was not loving. I was not caring. I wanted to be. Those things were inside of me, but I wore this mask of hurry, hustle, running through the day at warp speed. Like I couldn't even think about being loving and caring. It was like, manage the minutes, go, 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 go. And I see people sometimes still in that energy. And I'm like, wow, I don't know if I want to work with you. I don't know if I want to collaborate with you. Like you're still running at warp speed. What you need is some high performance leadership tools so that you can lead the most important person on the planet, yourself. And then you can lead your lifestyle and how you're engaging with your day. And then you can lead your career. And that is the difference. If you take the normal distribution curve, that is the difference between the mediocre middle and the top, pick your percent. Whether you want to be in the top 10%, 5%, 3%, 2%. Look at the income of the top percentage of earners and pick your percent. Where do you want to be? And that is your goal. A lot of us aren't taught any of this. And that's why I built this program to teach you, because these are the things that matter the most to me at the end of the day, is how do I live as a mom? So that's a whole lot of story, but was really great practice for me for my masterclass next week, because I've actually been nervous about what stories do I have. I have my journals. I'm literally like writing stuff down right and left, and I'm trying to figure it out. And you know what's amazing is when I pray about it and I get calm and I say, I'm just going to lay my burdens down. And I know that there's something so much bigger than myself, so much bigger than I can understand, that is on my side, helping me through. And then I literally did that for 20 minutes this morning. I laid every stressor down. And I'm being strengthened a lot by people whose faith and understanding of God is stronger than mine. And so I challenge you, find those people. I hope that my community will be a place where you can find that too. And when we share these things, when we realize these things, it's a lot easier. I'm like, oh my gosh, I just saved 2 hours right now because you helped me figure out what the story was. And now I can just listen to this when I'm driving. I can listen to this when I'm doing my hair. I can listen to this when I'm making dinner. And I go, oh, the story's already there. Do you see that, my friends? That's efficiency. That's now how I manage the minutes, because you know what? I just gained 2 hours. Well, I'll get to take my daughter out for a nice dinner tonight, or maybe we'll go for a trail ride, or maybe we'll just relax together. And I won't be so frantic stressing out because I've given the divine a seat at the table, a seat at the boardroom table. So today's actual topic was going to be short, sweet, and fast. And now it will be, because we're coming down to the bottom of the hour. So in Jen Gottlieb's new book, Be Seen, my favorite part, she talks about fear. And she says, fear is a disease we all suffer from. All of us suffer from this disease. And then I love the way she frames this. Often we think of fear as anxiety, or which we experience sometimes. But these 4 things that she said are symptoms of fear are things that I suffer from every single day. And I'm wondering if you do too. So grab your journal, because we're going to geek out, and my goal is for you to learn. And if you just listen, you'll only remember 20% of this 30 days from now. But if you write, you'll remember 50%. If you practice self-awareness and then catch yourself doing one of these things and change that behavior, and you start to do that over and over and over again, you'll remember 90% of this. So let's use learning theory, get our notes, get our journals, let's go. So the 4 symptoms of fear that I love that she covers in Be Seen: perfectionism. Anyone else? Oh, I'm a perfectionist. And we use that to procrastinate. It's a procrastination tool is what perfectionism is. Just trust everything's perfect. I look outside, I'm like, oh my gosh, there's this really weird stripe of a cloud. You don't see the cumulonimbus clouds going, oh, that cloud's imperfect. Nope, it's perfect. It's meant to be there. It's meant to be that way. And you know what? This is perfect. This live stream's perfect. My hair is perfect. It's perfect for this moment. Let that go. Everything is perfect. That is my new divine understanding, that as I seek to build a relationship with God, I'm starting to see even the smallest things as perfect. Like last week, Gigi and I had one of the biggest fights ever on Tuesday, and it was so bad. I'm just going to run a little over today because this one's worth sharing. I'm feeling that Holy Spirit tingle that I get. I'm like, okay, God, I see you. I've asked to have a relationship with you, and now here we go. So Tuesday night, we're in the middle of this major blow up. And in all honesty, I don't even remember I do remember what it's about. It was about taking care of Barbie. And my boyfriend comes over, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be so embarrassed that he's going to see this. And I felt very ashamed of what was happening under the roof of my home. And that's not an easy thing for me to admit, because I know a lot of people think very highly of me as a mom. But there are times where I yell at my kid, just like you do, and I hate it. And I feel awful afterwards. And I beat myself up afterwards. And I tell myself how horrible I am. Isn't that exhausting? Just motherhood, man. It's so tough. So he comes in, he kind of eavesdrops. You didn't have to crack the door too far to know, I don't want to be in that room. And then, bless his heart, he literally grabs the lawnmower, went out back and mowed a part of the lawn that's a little overgrown. And I didn't know he was doing that at this moment. And we were all supposed to go on a sunset walk and trail ride. Gigi was going to ride Barbie. Him and I were going to walk. It was going to be this beautiful evening, or so I thought. And now here we are. And at the same time, I'm choosing, things are perfect. I just have to figure out, how can I make this work out, right? I wasn't exactly in that mind space at that moment, but now once the emotions, this is the beauty of emotional intelligence. You can say, okay, I know I'm experiencing one of the 87 emotions. Thank you, Brene, for counting them all. I'm hot and I'm bothered, and I'm going to monitor my mouth so I don't say something I don't mean. And Gigi hates when I do this. And I tell her, you know, honey, I really need to walk away. She gets so frustrated with me because she wants, you know, my attention in that moment. And I said, honey, I know myself and I know how emotions work. This isn't the best time to talk. When the amygdala is firing, your frontal lobe, which controls executive functioning, decision making, all those good things, isn't working. It's downgraded. And so when the amygdala has hijacked and is in the driver's seat, I try to not speak or make decisions. But she gets really frustrated when I walk away. And she's like, this is what you always do. You walk away. You never listen. And I can't stand it when she says that, but I also know, don't engage, don't engage, don't engage, right? So I walk outside. I don't see him. I go to the back. You know, I'm kind of like, well, maybe he's out by the barn. And I see him mowing the lawn. I snapped a quick picture just to remind myself how blessed I am to have a wonderful man in my life. And I have a little blessings folder of photos, like things that are really great moments. I encourage you to do that because when you're not feeling great, you just open up blessings. Real quick, you've got a visual. The mind is very visual, so it's easier to visually talk to yourself than to monitor the self-talk. I want you to do both, but that's a strategy that I love sharing with my coaching clients. So I come back in, wrap things up with Gigi. I said, she's, you know, threatening, I'm not going on the walk. And I said, that's fine. So she doesn't go on, she decides she doesn't want to go. I said, I'm going to go and enjoy sunset walk. So I go out, he's wrapping up, finishing the yard. I said, we're going to go by ourselves. I said, I'm just so frustrated. And as we're walking, it's like this peaceful calm. He reminds me I'm a good mom. He reminds me that, you know, I don't mean that. I vented to him things that I wanted to vent to Gigi, and he reminded me that I don't mean those things. I remember exactly where we were walking as he reminded me of that. And I just thought, man, that's the power of having great people in your life. That's why community is a big part of programs that I create. And if you need some change and support in your life, you've got to find people. Do that for yourself. And so as we get home, it was amazing. He says, let's check the barn. The barn's already locked up for the night. I think, like, no, let's go inside. And he had said, let's go to dinner so that you can take one thing off your plate tonight. We don't have to cook or do, you know, whatever you were planning. And I was like, oh, hallelujah. You know, that was just, talk about a little gift. And so I'm kind of eager to get to dinner. I'm not thinking we really need to check the barn, but he felt strongly that we did. This is about listening to your feelings, listening to your intuitions, knowing that there's perfection inside of you that knows things. And I like to call it brilliance. So we open the barn door, and it turns out Barbie has masterfully somehow, I know how, when I had let her out of the paddock that she was in, and I didn't realize that Gigi hadn't closed fully the door to her stall in the interior door of the barn. I just thought that was always closed. And so Barbie had walked in through the run, into the loafing shed, into the stall, and into the barn, and made her way into the area where the hay and grain is stored. Somehow managed to open the grain bucket and is just chowing down, and had pooped in the hay, which is fabulous. Hay's expensive and not the most fun thing to waste your money on. So I'm like, oh my gosh, but I knew this was my fault. And so, you know, he had asked, why don't you have Gigi come clean this? And I said, well, I'm the one that let her out of the paddock. So I should have checked. It was my responsibility. One of the things I role model for Gigi, one of the things world's most influential people do, they role model. So I'm like, if you want to have influence on your child, you role model. So this is where knowledge is power, right? Knowledge plus emotion plus action equals change. So I'm taking knowledge I have about the 3 things the world's most influential people do. I'll be talking about those next week. Register for my class. And I take they role model the way. I'm going to do that right now. So I'm scooping up the poop out of the hay. I asked him if he would mind dumping it for me. Or no, I was going to dump it. I asked him to sweep the area where I'd made a little bit of mess. And then I started scooping up the grain. He got Barbie put away. He's really great with horses. And Then he took the muck bucket for me, dumped it, and off we went to the house. So we come in, we've just, now it's finally time to go to dinner, right? I'm starving, it's finally time. And I go to ask Gigi if she wants to go. She's like, no, I'm already in bed. And she's bummed out. And I said, I have a really funny story to tell you. Would you come with us so I can share it? So she's like, okay, fine. I said, we can go wherever you want. She loves Texas Roadhouse. I love Mexican food. So instead of Mexican, we went out to Texas Roadhouse, and I ended up sharing the story during the drive, which helped loosen the anxiety, loosen the fear. I'm sharing this story with great meaning for you. Number one, I hope that when you make decisions with your child, you're role modeling the behaviors you want to see. That's super challenging. Number two, make it fun. After you've kind of had some disagreements or arguments, there's a lot of stress in our world right now, so we're having more arguments in our homes. Let's just face it. And one of the bonuses I'm building for my program is a heart talk framework. And so make it fun, right? Sit with your child and be like, hey, I've got this really funny story. And the funny story was, like, oh my gosh, when I let Barbie out of the paddock, I didn't even know that she would be making her way to have a hay day in the hay, open up the bale, open up the bin, get into the grain. Like, that could have actually been disastrous to her health if he hadn't he hadn't followed that intuition. She could be very, very sick, thousands and thousands of dollars of vet bills. And so I talked, made it fun. Like, can I share this funny story with you? And it was me failing. I shared my failure, and then I shared my personal responsibility and accountability to help her see that's how I expect you to act. I didn't have to tell her that's how I expect her to act because I role modeled it. She's going to know based on watching me. So we get to Texas Roadhouse. We get seated. I did call ahead seating because that place is a zoo. So we get seated, and I scoot into the inside of the booth first. And then I decide I'm going to let Gigi was next, and then he was last as we were walking up. So Gigi decided to sit across from me, and he decided to sit beside me. As we get settled in, we're looking at our menus. I already know what I'm going to order because Gigi loves that place, and so we've got kind of a regular thing that we share. And I all of a sudden feel like I have to pee. And I'm like, okay, excuse me, I got to get up to go to the restroom, or I got to run to the restroom. And he says, run? Really? You're going to run there? So I was like, okay, smart guy. So I did. I got up and I ran, literally ran through the restaurant to the restroom. Luckily, we were seated on that half of the restaurant, so it wasn't too bad of an embarrassment, but I was like, yep, okay, I get you. I'll do it. And I come back, and they've had the most beautiful heart talk with each other. And I thought, oh my gosh, that's perfection working right there. That's God. To have to pee at just the right time, to allow a conversation to occur that forms a deeper bond, that allows Gigi to feel seen, to belong, to be a part of things when you're kind of newer in creating this bond between my boyfriend and her. And it's just it was so beautiful. It changed the entire week. We haven't had an argument like that since. That, my friends, is perfection. And it happened on the worst day of last week. So just know that part of life is, yeah, it's messy. Yeah, it's hard right now. It's also perfect. Trust in that. So getting back to the 4 symptoms of fear. Now I'm really over time. Okay, so symptom 1, perfectionism, right? We talked about that one. Symptom 2, comparisonitis. How often do you compare yourself to somebody else? Whether it's that person got the promotion and I really wanted it, or that person is really crushing it as an author and I wish I could do that, or as a speaker, or as teaching their course online, standing on stages, writing the books, doing the things that you want to be doing. I feel like I'm missing one. Writing, speaking, creating courses. Oh, coaching, my favorite thing. One of my favorite things. I love teaching too. So I'm like, it's real hard between courses and teaching and coaching. I love both. But how often do you compare yourself? Oh, that coach has this many clients and I only have this many. That coach is able to charge this much and I'm only able to charge this much. That person's hair looks amazing. I don't go live every day because my hair doesn't look amazing. I mean, it's the silliest things that become our behaviors when we're in comparisonitis. And then I love how Jen Gottlieb changed FOMO from fear of missing out, because a lot of us who are high achieving, we've already learned how to make the sacrifice of missing out on things. Like, I remember during my master's program, my first master's degree, I was working, going to school at night, while all my other friends, I mean, I was 21, 22 years old, I think. And all my other friends, like, we had just gotten the ability to drink, right? So they're like, hey, let's party, happy hour every day, all the things. You're 21, 22 years old. You don't have the responsibility of children. You're going out after work with your friends. You want to know what I was doing? I was working late and going home and studying. That's what got me to the $1.5 million home on 5 acres. I wish I could tell you it's so easy. It's not. You make a lot of sacrifices. So FOMO is something I'm conditioned out of. I already know I'm missing out, but I also know this one fact. And I want you to write this one down because this is probably one of the most important things I've ever learned. Easy choices, hard life. You make those easy choices. Everybody I know who did those things and made those easy choices is living a real hard life right now. Hard choices, you condition yourself to do the hard things, you'll have an easier life. It will be much easier. I'm navigating a lot of things right now, but my life is a whole lot easier than many. And so I teach my daughter that often, and I want you to teach your kids that. That's why it's so important to study leadership. The things you learn as a leader are things you can come right home and teach your kids. Hey, you want to know something? I wanted to do this today, but instead I made the hard choice and I did this. And I want you to know there's going to be times when you have to make the hard choice to have an easier life. So I want you to know easy choices, hard life. Hard choices, easy life. What are you going to do today? What do you think some of the hard choices you are going to make are? This is one of the things that I love the most about working with people who love nurturing children, is because as you learn with me, you'll become even better at influencing and mentoring the next generation, and they need us. I was telling Gigi the other day how, some people in their 40s like me think, oh, life's over, I'm almost close to retirement, I'm getting there, and they start kind of pulling their foot off the gas. And then they start thinking the next generation really is where it's at. They're going to save the day. And Gigi goes, I hope you don't think that of my generation, because we don't care and we've given up. We're not doing what you guys did. We're not going all in and working so hard and solving global warming and doing all the things. And I'm like, oh God. Okay, guys, just so you know, if you're in your late 30s, early to mid 40s, the next generation isn't going to be saving us. So we better dial it up, get your foot on the accelerator right here, right now. So comparisоnism, FOMO, fear of missed opportunity. That's what FOMO is for high achievers. We don't fear missing out. We fear missing opportunities. And I thought, oh, Jen, love you, girl. That's brilliant. Ooh, dang, that was good. And then the fourth symptom of fear, this is the one I struggle with the most. Analysis paralysis. Anybody have so many things that they're thinking about that they're just not moving forward because you're thinking about all the things? And thinking is an activity, so the brain actually mistakes thinking as doing. Yet you look at the end of the day and you're like, oh, my list, I didn't get all those things on my list done. Wah, wah, wah. So we've got to be real honest with ourselves. This one I have to be really honest, where I'm like, yeah, I made progress. I did some thinking about that today. No, you didn't. You didn't check the things off the list. So to recap, these are the 4 symptoms of fear: perfectionism, comparison, FOMO, fear of missed opportunity, and analysis paralysis. So we have to think about, if we know those things are present, we have to look at, what is fear's job? Jen says fear's job is to sneak in and tell us to stay exactly the same. Can you imagine if 10 years from now you were stuck in the same reality you're in right now? How boring that would be, how miserable you'd feel. Like, I look back 10 years ago. Gosh, I was living in a little condo. I was founding downtown Denver's first school. I look at what's happened since then. I built an amazing home. It was my first time building a home over $500,000. It was such a courageous move. It was so much fun. I made major career moves that allowed me to never miss a parent-teacher conference, to never miss a field trip, to never miss a drop-off or a pickup. I had so much. I built the career that I wanted so that I could be the mom that I wanted to be. That was something. I'm so glad I didn't stay stuck in where I was 10 years ago. Having the courage to do that and to create the lifestyle that I dream of, and now living in an amazing property, and now having this be the golden gateway to the biggest part of my dream, which is love and family. And that's been the hardest part for me to personally, to be real with you. Love requires a whole lot of trust in someone else. And every time I would turn around and try to be courageous in that, I would find that someone else and they'd be like, nope. And I remember my gay bestie, he would always say, the cutest thing about you, you get excited every time. And I was like, gosh dang, I do. I get real excited. Then I'm like, nope, not it. Real excited. Nope, not it. Real excited. Nope, not it. And I finally kind of gave up and I took matters into my own hands. I knew there's no Prince Charming coming to save you. And that was the best lesson I ever learned. And I decided I was going to build myself. There is no Prince Charming. And I think what's really amazing is when you build yourself, you attract an entirely different kind of person. Building myself to this level, it's so much of it's complicated. It's country, it's cowboy. There's so many just really cool things. I never knew what I really needed was a super strong masculine cowboy who was also wicked smart, who was also very in touch with his femininity and knows how to be gentle and soft as well. Like has done a lot of work on himself. That's what leaders do. They do a lot of work on themselves. And so he's a phenomenal leader. So with that, I want you to remember fear's job. If you experience perfectionism, comparisonitis, FOMO, and analysis paralysis, those are the things saying, stay the same. Stay here. You want to be growing. So we have to choose. Are we going to listen to fear? Are we going to start negotiating with fear and making excuses? Or are we going to place fear in the driver's passenger seat and say, come on a ride with me. I'm going to have a talk with you. Because I love that Jen says that. Here's what, from a psychology and neuroscience perspective, I hear that and I say this. Fear's doing its job. Fear's job is to make sure you live. So I like to express gratitude to fear. I like to say, thank you for caring about me, fear. This is what my drive sounds like, right? Jen says she heard from Big Magic by Elizabeth Gilbert that you go on a road trip with fear. You put it in the passenger seat and talk to it. And I love that. I read Big Magic years ago and I forgot that part. So that was a beautiful reminder as she honored that author. And that's why it's so important to honor where our ideas come from. Because now I'm like, I want to reread Big Magic too after Be Seen. So as I'm sitting in my driver's seat, I'm going to tell fear, hey, perfectionism, comparisonitis, FOMOism, analysis paralysis. I'm so thankful for you because you've been trying to keep me the same. And that's really safe. And I love that your job in my life is to keep me safe. It's called negativity bias. Cavemen, think of the cavemen era. If cavemen didn't have that, we wouldn't be here today, right? We've got to look at what is safe. But here's the thing. We live in the modern era now. And in the modern era, we are safe. We're safe to take far more risks than we ever do each day. One of the habits of mind I love the most is called taking responsible risks. And I often ask myself, because sometimes we think of risk as bad. Risk isn't bad. We have to look at our risk tolerance and see where's a responsible level of risk for this moment in time. Sometimes it can be high, sometimes it needs to be low. We get to control that. We have far more control than we ever give ourselves credit for. So with that, my friends, I want you to put fear in the passenger seat today. Go for a ride with it. Have a talk. Talk about perfectionism. Where does it live and why is it keeping you the same? Talk about comparisonitis and why that's important. Comparisonitis actually helps you understand your market and industry. Thank you, comparisonitis. You know what though? When you show up and you tell me I'm not good enough and you tell me they're doing it better than me and that what I do doesn't matter, that conversation's gonna stop. Are we clear? And then FOMO, Missed opportunities, I'm not going to worry about missed opportunities. I'm going to trust that this opportunity that I'm sitting in right now is where I'm going to go that extra mile, because often we give up, right? The research shows people give up right before they're ready for breakthrough. So I'm not going to worry about missed opportunities. I'm going to stick with the opportunity that I'm facing right now, because this opportunity to teach courses online, to coach people, to help people make courageous career change and have their kids watching and learning what's possible for them as their kids light up and engage more in school and become more fulfilled. They're happier at the end of their school day. They're kinder when they come home from school. They're better friends because they're happier too. You see, we don't have to sacrifice. It's not about balance. I think I heard Ed Mylett say this. I've been listening to him a lot lately, so it's probably him, but I'm not sure because I didn't write it down. It was him, actually. I remember I was painting this deck listening to that podcast. But he talked about, it's not like if you focus on health, all the other parts of your life fall apart. When you focus on health, all the other parts of your life get better too. Then you eat healthier, then you sleep better, then you have more energy in the morning, then you're more focused and you get more productivity out of your day. Then the interactions you have are better, because you have clarity about who you are. You have the energy. All these good things are happening simultaneously, uplifting all the dimensions of your life. So when we role model what's possible for our kids and we come home, instead of coming home exhausted, we come home energized about what we did, they start to get energized about what they did in their day too. And guess what? They go off to school the next day with little less begrudgingly, especially if you got a middle schooler, right? Middle school and high school, they don't exactly jump out of bed excited to hug their teacher the next day anymore, right? So we're navigating as parents a little more difficult of a time with them too. So with that, I put those fears in the driver's seat and have a conversation with them. Analysis paralysis, thank you so very much. I love the way you help me think, and that quality thinking makes me feel so confident in my decisions. I'm going to be confident without you today. I'm not going to let you derail me. Woo! Doesn't that feel like, I actually feel so empowered just saying that to myself. So I hope that that has helped you. I'm going to put the link to next week's masterclass in the comments so that you can go and get registered. I would love to see you there. These are the things that made me who I am. They helped me quadruple my income. They helped me navigate those promotion conversations. They help me forgive myself as a mom whenever I feel like I've lost it. They help me role model and be extraordinary as a mom in the moments that matter the most to me. These are the things that I wish we'd been taught in school, that I wish we'd been taught in work, but we weren't. And so it's our responsibility to assume personal responsibility and ownership over what we learn. And I've taken decades of research and compacted it into 5 hours and into a little bit longer program for those who decide they want to go deeper. So invest. I encourage you, come along, say, yes, I'm going to give 5 hours next week. What is that? Let's see here. Little Miss Math can't resist this. I know, I'm trying to wrap up 24 hours a day times 7 days a week, 168 hours, and I'm asking for 5 of them. That's 0.029. So I'm asking for 2.9% of your week. Can you give me 3% of your week so that you can be a better mom, so that you can increase your earning potential, so that you can achieve financial freedom, so that you can have more time in your day, so that you can have more flexibility with how you spend your days, and most important, so that you can role model to the ones in your house who are watching you, the little ones. They're counting on us. They're counting on us to be their champions. They're counting on us to be courageous. They're looking to us. And we're coming home at the end of the day exhausted with so little to give them. We've got to change that. And I know this has being able to live my dream and run my business and have my daughter see how happy I am. It's like she gets a different mom. It's amazing. And I want to lead you in that journey. Even if you're still in corporate and you say, I'm not ready for entrepreneurship yet, all of these high performance leadership skills can be applied in corporate. That's where I've played with them the last 8 years. I've been playing with them in corporate. So I would love, if you're an educator, this is for you too. You're going to love it the most because educators, What I love about educators is they're always so darn humble. They don't realize how many skills they have. What you're going to see is you have every skill that the workplace needs. You've got especially the differentiator skills, those that are toughest to train people on: caring, thoughtfulness, kindness, compassion. Because it's all authentic and genuine. It's already built into your DNA. It's who you are. It's what called you to teach. So you're already equipped with those things. Those are the hardest things to teach. I've tried to teach people to create a culture of care. And I have to actually talk to them about the things that you as a teacher do so naturally. You wake up doing it. You eat, breathe, sleep doing it. Other people don't. So Monday, 7 p.m. Mountain, 9 p.m. Eastern, we're actually going to be spending an entire hour diving into our uniqueness and our strengths. And if you feel like I want to get fired up, I need to be reminded of my strengths, man. I'm beating myself up too much, or I live in a world that's drowning in negativity. I haven't even thought about how great I am. I need to see you Monday night. So I would love, if you're still listening, you're my people, please share this with someone. Invite a bestie. Let's go. Let's go. Sending you all loads of love and light. Go out and shine. Radiate your brilliance to the world.